Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my review of The Game. This is the third film from director David Fincher. He'd done a ton of work before he went into features, of course, doing a lot of music videos and things like that. But yeah, he'd had one considerable hit in Seven and one not so much with Alien 3, with regards to fans anyway. Fans of the franchise weren't particularly happy with Alien 3, and neither was he. But yeah, this was his third film, chance to kind of prove himself. Was he a one-hit wonder? I went to see this by myself the year it came out. I had to bunk off school at the time, or college. I was actually in college. I was 17 years old. It came out in 1997. And I wasn't generally the kind of person who bunked off school, but for whatever reason that day I did. I fancied a trip to the cinema and I went by myself. And I didn't go to see this film in particular. It wasn't something, I didn't know who David Fincher was at the time. It's not like he was on my radar or anything. I just turned up to the cinema, looked at the listings, and this is the one that grabbed me. I went in, I watched it by myself. There was one other guy actually who was in there, sat a couple of rows behind me. Funny how you remember this stuff. But yeah, I watched it and I loved it. I've kind of loved it ever since. I've watched it many times over the years, and it's always felt like a little bit like A Christmas Carol in a way. It's kind of a variation on A Christmas Carol. It's a Wonderful Life, that kind of vibe. In which you have this rich Scrooge-like man who is really shown what he is by being put through the ringer. And he I guess by coming very close to death, or what he perceives as death, or just to the brink, really, the brink of sanity, being pushed to the edge, it makes him realise what he's got and what he's missed in life. So yeah, very similar vibe in that respect to A Christmas Carol. For anyone who doesn't know, the story around this centres on this character of Nicholas Van Orton, who is played by Michael Douglas, and he's given a present, a birthday present, by his brother Conrad Van Orton, played by Sean Penn. And the present is this game, and he has to go to this company, basically sign up to this thing, and they put him through all these tests, like rigorous tests. Keep telling him it'll be out in an hour, but it goes on all day. And basically he signs up for this game. He doesn't know when it's going to start, but it will just, stuff will happen in his life. And he's told that these tests he does are all geared towards making a game that is geared towards him. So they find out everything about him so that the game that they prepare can be tailored to him as a person. However, when the game starts, things get very real and his life begins to be threatened, and yeah, like I say, he's put through the ringer, and then we're kind of left with the question, is this real or is it not? Is it a big con? If so, what is the con? What is going on? Yeah, it's a very intriguing movie for those, if you've never seen it before, going into it blind. Definitely it holds the intrigue. You want to know where it's going. Now, for the sake of anyone watching, this is a spoiler review, so I am going to dish spoilers. If you haven't seen this by now, yeah, sorry, but I have to talk about the ending. When I saw this way back when, and even many times after, I've always loved the ending. I've always, I've never really had a problem with it. And I don't know if it's age or what, but watching it this time around, and it's been quite a few years since I'd seen it, and then, watching it now, and the ending for me is problematic. I don't quite buy it in the way that I once did. I think many years ago when I watched it, I probably wanted the ending to work more than it actually did, and for that reason I brushed over certain things. But when you consider what goes into this thing, so his brother has got him this present, and he's behind it all. He's orchestrated it all. He's in on it. And it's all to make his brother Nicholas kind of, reevaluate his life and gain a new appreciation for what he's got. But the way he goes about doing that, it's kind of like, it's dark, it's sick, and it's twisted in many ways, because this is a guy who lost his father to suicide, and everything that is in this game that he's being made to play is, in a way, it's geared towards making him suicidal, and to the point where he actually takes that route out. This is a guy who reaches rock bottom. He throws himself off a building at the end of the film. And I don't know, I just think that anyone who goes through that, who's had that psychological damage of having seen their father do it, and then they make that decision themselves, only to be told, haha, just a joke, I think they would be pissed beyond belief. And I don't think that Sean Penn's brother character would be walking away without a broken nose of some description. I just, I get it. I get that he wakes up having a new appreciation for life, but I don't know. For me, and I don't know why I've never got this before, but just this time around, it's a bit too much of a stretch to think that his brother would consider this a good idea. I get that he could have reached a point where he thinks nothing else is going to get through to him, but even so, that's a twisted, dark decision to make. I'm also not quite sure they could account for every possible decision that he makes. There's nothing to say that he would have thrown himself off that particular side of the building. Obviously, we don't know that they didn't have the other sides marked as well, but I don't know. It feels a bit too much to me to buy this time around. However, that aside, everything else in this film I can't really fault. I think it's directed really brilliantly by Fincher, who has an excellent grasp of the material, knows exactly how to shoot it to get the right amount of tension boiling. The performances all round are pretty great. I particularly like Sean Penn in it. He doesn't get much to do. He's only in a few scenes. I would imagine he shot all of his stuff in a few days, to be honest. But he's in about 3 scenes, and when he's there, he gets to make an impact. A particular scene between him and his brother in the car when he's getting a bit hysterical and whatnot. I like Michael Douglas in this. This is one of my favourite roles for Michael Douglas, to be honest. I like Douglas on the whole. He's made some really great films, but this is the one that I always remember when I think of Michael Douglas. It's the one I kind of gravitate towards. I like this character. You get an inkling into why he's become the man he is. Probably having to become a surrogate father to Conrad, who ended up going off the rails. So Nicholas kind of took on that role of super responsibility, but maybe took it too far. And it was a very lonely endeavour, the place he was in, becoming his father, essentially. And it made him lose his way from an emotional standpoint, and perhaps a moral one too. I like this relationship between the two brothers, and the fact that ultimately Conrad, even though his methods are very skewed, does just want his brother back, just wants to kind of wake his brother up to the man he once was, I guess, or the child he once was. I like Deborah Kara Unger in this. I'm surprised she didn't go much further, to be honest. I know she has done some stuff over the years, but this is probably the most notable thing she's done. And like I say, that just surprises me, because she is pretty great here. I like her in this role. She's quite sassy, she does that very hard balancing act of being one of those characters where you're never quite sure which side she's on. Is she a plant? Is she getting roped into something she's got no idea what it is? Or whose side is she on? She plays that very well. And I like the chemistry between her and Michael Douglas too, despite the significant age gap between them at the time. Now, it is quite a slow film. It does take quite a while to get where it's going, but I kind of like it. It's what I would call leisurely paced, but it makes you buy into the concept a lot more, particularly when we see all the tests that Nicholas Van Orton is going through. It kind of... Again, it's that thing of that balancing act of how much do we show to make it believable, but without going too far into the realms of science fiction. And they show enough to build a picture that makes you think they could conceivably do it. Like I say, it's just towards the end maybe it goes off the rails a bit, but yeah, for the most part, like I say, that pacing, it really helps you buy into the central conceit. As I say, it is a film about a character going on this journey that essentially humanises him more. When we start the film, he's not a nice man. He's definitely a Scrooge-like character, but there was someone there underneath at one point that made a woman fall in love with him. A woman he's now divorced from, but yeah, obviously there was something there at one point, and there's a very touching scene between him and that woman, his ex-wife. They get together at one point. He asks her for some help, and he apologizes to her, and it's kind of, yeah, that's the end of his journey in one respect. The fact it shows us that he's become a new man. He's learnt from the hand that he's recently been dealt. It was this film that made me a fan of Jefferson Airplane back in the day as well. Their song White Rabbit features quite prominently in this film, in one particular scene in the middle of it, in which we kind of, we get the impression that things are spiraling out of control, and it's kind of making Nicholas potentially lose his mind. And White Rabbit is a particularly good song choice to use for anyone losing their mind. It was the first time I'd ever heard that song, actually, was in this film, and I really loved it. And I kind of frequently saw it from there on out, or heard it being used in movies. I think it was also used in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas as well. But yeah, it's that go-to song, really, when you want to, it's about Alice going down the rabbit hole. So it's, very bonkers, very drug-addled, and very good for kind of conveying that someone may be losing the plot. The rest of the cast is rounded out by what you'd call character actors. No big stars or anything, but people like James Rebhorn, Armin Mueller-Stahl. They're people whose faces you recognise, but you can never quite pinpoint what else you've seen them in. But James Rebhorn in particular in this is very good. He plays the guy who puts Michael Douglas, Nicholas Van Orton through the series of tests. Has a very kind of likeable quality to him, and then when we see him later on in the film, when it's revealed he's an actor, that he was just brought in to do a job, seeing his reaction to things, how it plays out, I think Rebhorn does a very good job with that. Seeing him with his family, he gets scared when Van Orton just kind of pops up at the zoo to have a word, and his family's there. I like the performances all around from all these kind of character actors, and it just, again, it helps to keep things real. When you have big stars in these kind of roles, it kind of takes you out of it because you're too drawn to the personality of that star rather than the character they're playing. All in all, cracking stuff. Really great film. Like I say, problematic ending. Doesn't quite work for me the way it used to, but it's still a top-notch thriller and one of Michael Douglas's best roles. Like I say, if you've not seen it, it will keep you guessing. And I think it's just, a good character study of this man, Nicholas Van Orton. So for me, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. There is that criticism about the ending, but even so, I still do like this film quite a lot and would highly recommend it. So 4 out of 5 from me. But what about you? Have you seen The Game? And if so, what did you think about it? Leave your thoughts below. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time, cracking.